All right, we're back. Allegedly. We will see. Folks at home, we here at Cats on Guard offer our most sincere apology for our many continued absences. And believe me, if we were in middle or high school, we would probably be sent back to repeat the fourth grade or whatever grade it is we're in. However, we have had a great number of technical issues trying to record this one single solitary episode. And I think maybe we should change the topic. Maybe that's the problem. We're trying to get on this one thing that I think is very fun and exciting to talk about. But at any rate, we're going to try again.
So tell me this. What grade do we learn Wi-Fi and home technicals? So when I was a kid, there was like a class called home ec, and home economics was like, here's how to sew something that ripped, here's how to
Yeah.
bake a pie. Now imagine how many years later are they doing Wi-Fi installs at home ec? Like, are they teaching kids how to work a network?
You really want to ask me that question? The most technical class they offered back in the dark ages was typing on a typewriter.
Who does
That is
that?
what
We have
I
autofill.
know. I know. I'm a really good typist, though.
I don't even type my name anymore. The phone knows that I need to type my name because it sees that I need to type it, and it just says, "Click here if you want your name, address, and phone number put in." Like, done.
And they don't teach handwriting either. Nobody even knows how to sign their name anymore. So forget typing. All you need is a thumbprint anyway. Pretty soon, just an eyeball.
My
So
grandmother still writes in cursive, and she writes her Christmas and birthday cards to my kids in cursive, and they're like,
yeah.
they handed it, "Read this."
But can you read it though? Are you able?
I'm fluent in cursive, yes, and
Yeah,
cursing.
we started teaching our kids cursive, and my son has terrible handwriting. He has a handwriting disability, so his printing is awful, but his cursive is really good. So
Really?
yes, he does most of his schoolwork, whatever has to be written, in cursive. I don't know if
That's
his teachers can read it because they probably didn't
oh
learn, but
gosh.
God, can you
Yeah, I
imagine?
didn't think about that.
Yeah. So isn't that a surprise? Who knew what things? Yeah. Are they teaching Wi-Fi and home X? Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe they
Okay,
are.
to be
It's
fair, they
something
should.
you no, they probably don't because your kids just learn it straight out of the crib, you know?
I, uh, I texted you that picture because we were having the technical issues, and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go reset stuff." I ran a speed test. I sent you my data up and down from the speed test app or whatever, and you just answered like, "I don't even know what that means." Like, well, here we are on talking to each other through screens and AV equipment through the internet.
Because it's just the magic of science that we don't need to understand,
It's the
right?
magic of flight that keeps us employed.
It reminds me of a time I flew with a guy who was a big Bible reader, very, very much into the whatever whatever the Bible says, but doesn't say so in the science textbooks. And we got to talking about some sciency stuff. I had bought a science magazine, and so I could quote some articles to him. And he said something. I have no. It was we were talking about radiocarbon dating, like aging things to like 14
Yeah.
million years old and stuff like that. And him being a believer that the Earth is only 6,000 years old, couldn't buy into that. But one of the stated reasons was, if I don't know how something works, I can't believe in it. I'm sitting there thinking, well, I don't know how a jet engine works, but here we are. And
I believe in the engineers at Rolls-Royce. Pratt& and Whitney engineers, not so much. I don't believe in them, but
that's a whole other topic.
my gosh.
Anyway, you know what today's topic is? Here
Which
at Cats on Guard, starring your co-captain Richard Millen and yours truly, MC Howe. We're talking about surprises, things that we come across in the daily rigmaroles of our job, things we didn't expect. Could be in the flight, could be on a layover. And this came up because I was out on a layover one day. I was down in Fort Lauderdale, and I was walking through the local graveyard, as I tend to do.
what are you talking about? Do you hear yourself?
Yeah,
Say
I know
that in
what I said.
public to somebody. I took a walk through a graveyard the other day.
Yeah, I chose my words. I know what I said.
Okay. Okay.
I was listen. There are two things that make me feel less like I'm at work when I'm out. One is walking through a neighborhood, just houses where people live and do their things that have nothing to do with my job. And I feel like I'm not so much at work when I'm walking through people's neighborhoods. The other is a beautiful peaceful, serene graveyard full of the dead whose, let's face
Oh
it,
my god.
the listen, I had this thought one day. I was at a funeral and I looked around at the room of everybody that was there and I thought, once all these people are dead and gone, there's going to be no one around who remembers that person that's laying in that coffin up there. And the only thing left is a graveyard with your name on a piece of stone somewhere. That's it. I mean, unless you're George Washington or somebody who did something spectacular like that, how many billions upon billions of people have ever died that we never knew about? Think
So
about that.
I'm gonna blow your mind with something here.
Okay.
People live on through their social media now. No,
Oh,
I'm
that's
serious. So
that's
I have
sad.
there are some friends that I went through high school and the younger schools with that have passed away, and I'm not that old. I'm in my late 30s, and their spirit, their memories, their existence lives on. Like on their birthday, everyone posts on their page, "Happy heavenly birthday" or "Happy," you know what I mean? Like, but what happens is through social media, every time that you've interacted with these people on like anniversaries of that football game you went to or that dance at school, like, it reminds you, right? And you get pictures of that person, and
It's true.
you can see things they've said are still digitally alive decades later,
You're so right. The
but you don't
digital
have a social
world,
media presence.
yeah, the digital world is our forever afterlife. You're right.
But everybody prior to social media, you're 100% accurate, but that stopped in, like, mid-2000s when everyone documented their life on the internet. Is it creepy?
It really is. Do you know there was a TV show called Upload on Amazon
No.
Prime? Fantastic show. It's a little futuristic. They never really specified how far into the future, but you're able to download your consciousness and your memories so that when you die, they take those downloads and they put them into a digital afterlife
God, you have,
where,
like, a VR version of yourself living in the
yes,
cor so, like, The
yes,
Simpsons heads in the glass, the head you remember The Simpsons with the heads
yeah.
in the glass jars?
Oh,
It's
but
like,
it's far better than that. You have an entire existence. You've got you can live in a community with other deads, and because it's all connected, you can interact with your still living people on the other side.
"Oh,
Like
boy."
you and I are having this digital encounter right now.
Yeah.
You could do that with somebody from the great beyond.
I could have, like, a dead podcast after a live one?
Yes, yes, you could. You absolutely could. It's a
Oh,
fantastic and terrifying concept all the same, but I highly recommend it. It's a great show called Upload, and it reminds me of walking through that graveyard. Do you know whose grave I stumbled upon?
who?
Do you remember The Naked Gun from the
Yes.
Files of Police God? Do you remember
Yes.
Airplane
Yeah.
starring Leslie Nielsen, everybody's favorite,
Oh, yeah.
Don't Call Me Shirley?
Parody? Is it what do you call him, a parody
I would
actor?
call, yeah. He didn't start out that way. He was a very serious actor
I was wondering, like, yeah.
until he was cast in Airplane, and something switched, and he just became one of the all-time greats. And his grave, a very unassuming grave, just like maybe a 12 to 18-inch flat piece laying in the grass, not even sticking up. It says Leslie Nielsen, has his dates, which I don't recall. I did take a picture of it. And then, but people leave little trinkets. They leave little airplanes and they leave, somebody left a beaver from the great line from that movie. Nice beaver.
I'm Googling this as you're
Here,
talking about it, and I
here,
see gosh, yeah, that's what I'm
there it
looking
is.
at. There's, like, somebody left an airplane on there.
Yeah.
That's
So
hilarious.
it's, it's, it's absolutely, it was shocking to me to just stumble across it in such an unassuming place too. Just I don't know what the name of the cemetery there in a cemetery in Fort Lauderdale.
You've inspired me.
Yeah.
You've inspired me to do those, like, neighborhood walks on the road
Have I?
because I've never heard of a yeah, because I always feel like I'm on the road. You leave the hotel, there's a Applebee's and a Logan's Steakhouse and a
Mhm.
Starbucks and then a CVS, and it's always on, like, the strip where the strip of things, and we're just like the passerbys that everyone knows we're not locals because you walk there and, like, you don't look like a local, you're not dressed like you know what but, like, walking through a neighborhood, you're just a person taking a walk, and, like, people are
That's right.
walking their dogs, that sounds amazing, that's a huge surprise for me.
And you know what's even more fun? Like, if you go on a weekend and someone's having a garage sale, you can just
Gosh, You gonna buy some crap from,
Well,
like,
yeah,
another
you're probably
state?
not gonna buy a bunch of crap because then you'd have to haul it around for however long you're out on the
Yeah,
road, but
you hauled a cat through an airport, I think we can get this.
I did too. Well, but, it's just you just interact with people on their level, and it's like remember that time we were out on that first trip we did together, and we were at the restaurant, and some guy walked by us, and he was walking towards us, and I sized him up right away. I looked at his outfit, I looked at the way he was carrying himself. I said, "That guy is another pilot."
Yep,
Turned out I was wrong, but
there's a look.
yeah, there's a look, and if you get away from that, and you're just like, "Oh, yeah, there's a guy raking his lawn.
Yeah.
That's
Did
there's
I ever tell
grandma
you about the
walking her
time
dog."
surprised a flight crew while I was fishing in Florida? You know how you
I
can
don't
eye them
think
up and see them. Alright, so I appear dark, right, in appearance, you can see that in the screen. I have a dark
yes.
skin complexion. A lot
Yes.
of people assume that I am Hispanic, and I'm not at all. But my whole life, I've spent people just walk up and start speaking Spanish to me because they think I'm a fellow Spanish speaker, and I'm not, and it's a little frustrating. But anyway, uh, I was down at the time the 727 simulator was in Miami, and I brought my little travel fishing rod, and I was going to try and catch a peacock bass in the canals. And I keep a year-round Florida fishing license because I'm always down there and I'm always fishing. And I go down to the canal and I'm fishing, and these two dudes, one kind of salt and pepper hair, one very much gray, um, lean jeans, light colored jeans, the belt phone holster, the
Oh, I love
clean
that look.
sneakers, a tucked in polo shirt, and a nice watch, right? On both of them. What does that say to you? It
Was that
screams
ICE? Were they
pilot.
coming to get you?
Oh, that's funny. That's a current events quote. Now, this was like almost a decade ago, at least 8 years ago. And they're walking along. They stop. They look down at me. I look up at them. I keep casting and reeling. And then they stop and they look. And now, like I said, I knew this was a flight crew. I just knew it. They don't know who I am. They don't. But they look down and slowly speaking, because this is something people do when they think you don't understand them. They say slowly, "Hola, amigo. Catching any fish today?"
They said
Yeah.
catching any fish in English?
Yeah, well, they don't know the rest of the Spanish, right? All they knew was "Hola, amigo."
It's always been my experience, and maybe I do this myself, is that I speak a little louder when I don't speak
Yeah,
the
that's
language.
the other thing people do when it's non-native, yeah. So they slowly say this to me. I look up, I already eyed eyed them up, so I knew they were crew. I said, "Who do you 2 fly for?" And they just
Oh,
it was
sweet.
like they went pale in the face, they're like, "Huh, how did this guy know?" Like, "What? How did that?" They were just so confused. I'm like, "I'm here for sim, trying to catch some fish between sim sessions. Who do you fly for?" And they went, "Air Canada, sorry," and kept walking. Like they were so
Sorry.
embarrassed. They were
My
so
God, eh?
embarrassed. It was hilarious,
So let
but
me ask you
so
this,
loving.
though. Something about your story. You were on a sim, you were away from home. You travel with a fishing pole?
When it's a place I know I will be and I know I'll have an opportunity. Like if it's a red eye and another red eye, I'm not gonna go out fishing. But if it's one of those like 30-hour, when I think did you and I go to LA? I can't remember. When I would go to LA, I
Huh.
would bring the rod. Like, I can
Okay.
go to the marina down by Long Beach and do some fishing, or Florida. There's some, freshwater lakes around the hotels in Orlando. You catch nice
Yeah.
fish. So when I
Okay.
can, yes. Yeah.
That's like some people. I play guitar. I have a travel guitar that I have on occasion brought with me. I
I
w
will.
I know a guy who travels with a bike. He's got
Oh
a
my gosh.
fold-up bike that he hooks onto the back of his bag, and he
Do you
just
bring your
wheels it away.
guitar, like, in a case, like, full on, full-size guitar?
Uh-uh.
I know you were
But
playing it at the beginning of this episode.
no, no, it's
Oh,
tiny.
compact guitar. Okay, cool.
It's
Looks
it's
like a rifle, actually.
it does. A lot of people think it's a pool cue that
That's cool. How cool.
it's got a full-size neck, but a tiny little body, and they
Oh, that
wrap
is
the
so
strings around to the inside here, so
can
and
you
f
make a
f
post on our Facebook later, just like a link to that for our followers that wanna
for
travel with
sure I
music?
can.
Because that is so cool, and I think everyone should see that. What you don't
For
wanna see
sure
at
I will.
TSA, though, is it looks like a rifle in a case. Just telling you.
Well, a lot of people, mostly van drivers, have accused me of carrying my own pool stick, like
Okay, I could see
like
that.
I'm a shark, you know?
You're a
No.
pool hall shark on the road, you go
Yeah.
hit the smoky joint clubs with the foggy ceilings and oh gosh. No, so,
These. Please pardon my zipping of the case,
Hey,
listener.
no, it's on the air action here. We're getting to see
Yeah.
the cool so I think that's obnoxious personally, and not to like, no offense to you, but like that's why I do like the travel rod. Nobody knows I have it. It fits in my bag. But
Well,
I
it
see
actually
people carry
fits.
like skateboards and this like other obnoxious objects that have to get put places that normally wouldn't have things, right?
Well,
But you
actually,
have a closet for it.
that bag, that little carrying guitar fits in the back pocket of my bag.
Oh,
So
perfect. Stands up with you.
the neck sticks out, but I don't have to find a special spot for it, no.
That's
And
cool.
truthfully, I haven't traveled with it in a very long time, but
Well, then I retract my statement about how obnoxious I find it.
thank you, thank you. No, I know, those guys with the giant guitar cases. How about this one? You, suppose you're traveling along and there's a, hockey arena next door. Are you gonna bring your hockey equipment? Your
No,
skates?
absolutely not.
No?
I have brought golf clubs in cargo world because nobody else is on the plane to see it. Other than that, no.
Alright, good. Well, the theme of our topic today is surprises, things that we didn't expect to encounter out on the road. And your story about the fishing and those guys reminded me of a time I was in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. I'd never been; it was my first time there. I was kind of out walking around, seeing the sights, and I'm walking back to the hotel after doing this, and a gentleman sidled up alongside me on a sidewalk and he just started walking with me. It can be a crowded sidewalk. There are a lot of people. This guy was very clearly walking with me. He had
Shoulder to
chosen to walk.
shoulder.
Yeah. And he started speaking to me, but it was entirely in Spanish, except for like maybe every eighth word was in English or something. So it'd be like, and I apologize to all our Spanish speakers. My Spanish is not, I'm going to use gibberish to simulate my Spanish here. So this is the conversation would go like this: "Ah, blah, 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 baseball, ha 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 ha," and he would laugh hilariously like that. So I, I, I didn't know what to do, so I would laugh with him. And he would, ah, blah 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 blah, women, ha 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 ha, and it went on like this for like quite a while. We just walked together. I eventually grew to understand that he was trying to get me to A, go to a party with him, or B, or maybe both, buy him a chicken.
How did you convert that from baseball and women?
There was more that I didn't say, but that's what I got out of the
Oh,
conversation.
that kind of
Yeah.
party guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
And I declined both offers and he went away.
Yeah. Maybe he wanted you to play pool with him and he'd bring the 8 ball.
Maybe that was it.
Big party.
Yeah. You just never know what people are going to talk about.
So have you had any surprises like I mean, obviously, like, emergencies happen in the airplane, but, like, surprises at the airport, like, you know, like, trying to like, I'm thinking myself of, like, when I get to the airplane and it's supposed to be a normal day of work and then something ridiculous happens, it's like, "This isn't supposed to be part of my day."
Uh huh. I do. I do have one like that. May I share it?
Please do.
Back in my regional days, we were doing a trip to a place. I want to say it was Lexington, Kentucky. I think it was Lexington. And back in those days, and maybe still in these days, a lot of those smaller airports didn't use jetways for their regional airplanes. So they would just, bring an air stairs up and you'd park out on a ramp. Everybody would walk out and you get a little fresh air, a little fresh air mixed with some jet fumes. So the captain I was flying with had somehow managed to tear his pants. Like he ripped the seat of his pants or something. And he decided that while I was out doing the walk around, he was going to attempt to mend these pants. So I'm out doing the walk around. And as I get around to back toward the stairs, as I finished, I was going to get back on the airplane. I noticed another person came out somewhere from the ramp and had gone up into the airplane. And just about the time he got to the top of the steps, this captain was standing in the basically right there at the front door. Not quite the front door because you would have been able to see it from the terminal, but the front door, and then you make a left turn and there's the cockpit. So he's kind of in the
Yeah.
cockpit door. And it was in that moment that he dropped his trousers to pull them off to mend them. And this gentleman that had come up the stairs was a Fed doing a ramp check.
So, I'm sorry, who was dropping the pants?
The
Ok
captain, the captain of the airplane, took his pants off like,
With
bent
the
over.
passengers there?
No, I'm s did I leave that out? No. Passengers were off the airplane.
Okay.
You should we should
Set
redo
the
this and
scene
edit.
for me. I'm thinking people
I'm so sorry. Okay.
I'm like, "Did they just board and now we're gonna fix it?"
No,
Because you were doing a
no,
walk
we
around,
just
right? So
deplaned. We're
post-flight
in
walk around. Okay.
between, empty airplane. I'm doing a post-flight walk around. Captain takes his pants off right there in the flight deck door, and a Fed comes on board because he's gonna do a ramp check just as the pants dropped.
How'd the ramp check go?
We passed.
Okay, he
Oh,
didn't want nothing to
we
do with
did
you guys
a
that day.
very thorough inspection, but we passed.
That's funny. I had a ramp check that had to do with I didn't take my pants all the way off, but no, wait, I'm confusing 2 stories in one. I'll tell them both. So the Louisville airport, this is, gosh, decade or more ago. If you're not CITA badged, a CITA badge is like specific to that airport. You're
Yes.
limited to like the footprint of the airplane and do your walk around business, whatever. And I was gonna walk away from the wing and because this was on the cargo ramp, there's no like bathrooms or anything. Our plane didn't have a lab, and I really needed to go and there were some like luggage carts lined up kind of behind the airplane.
Uh,
And let me just sneak between the two luggage carts.
oh, no.
Yeah, and I'll just sneak between them real quick, let it rip, and then I'll come back into the airplane and we'll get going, right? Because it's like again, no lav, no bathroom nearby. There's so once the cargo delivery people and the forklifts go back in the warehouse, that's the last you see of them. You're just out
Alright.
there to do what you're doing on a cargo ramp. It's kind of unfortunate, but anyway, I go to do it. I'm walking over there, and the airport police see that, and they pull up. And what are you doing? Like, I got to take a leak. Use your bathroom. Don't have one. Well, you can't do it here. Okay, you want me to just pee myself? And then we just went back and forth because this is a physiological need. He says, "Well, you don't have a SITA badge." I said, "I do have a badge. That's a crew badge, not a SITA badge." We went back and forth. I said, "The crew badge vets me through like every airport in the country, some of them the world, right? So
Right.
why do I need a special SITA badge here to walk?" And I know the rules, but I was still having the argument for confrontation's sake.
You tend to do that.
So I tell him, I said, "Listen, dude, if I had a SITA badge for every airport I access, I would have a hula hoop of key rings and
That'd be
badges."
cool.
I mean, like, this crew badge is supposed to be good for all the airports. He goes, "No, you're only allowed to be in the footprint of the airplane." So, well, what do you want me to do before I piss myself? I don't know, but you're only allowed to be within the footprint of the airplane. So I walked over to the main landing gear on the cargo ramp in the middle of the night and I peed on the wheel. Like I'm on the highway. They're like,
Okay.
let's see if he wants to write this up because I will challenge it. We
Oh, you
will
did
have
it?
this.
He he
He was
he was
there.
watching you? He watched
Yeah,
you do it? Yeah?
yeah. I'm
Okay.
cooling
How'd
down my
that
brakes. The brakes were hot.
yeah.
I'm cooling them down.
Sometimes that happens. Yeah.
I mean, like, where's the logic in this? I'm not a passenger airplane. I don't have a lavatory. It's already been clearly disclosed, and you know that the people are on the other side of a barbed wire fence. It's a warehouse now. The people that filled our plane, right? And now we're just alone here. So what do you want me to do about it, dude? Anyway, guy must have been on a power trip. You got to go. You got to go. I'm
You
not
didn't
going
get
to pee
any on his
myself.
shoes, did you?
I should have.
So what was the outcome? What did he say?
Nothing. He drove off because I stayed within the footprint of the airplane. But that I'm going to do another follow up story because same airport different ramp on the Louisville airport, had a ramp check. You're talking about the ramp check happening and passing the ramp check. I'm pretty sure that whoever was doing this ramp check had not looked at a 1960s airplane in a really long time. Like they probably get into the typical RJ or Airbus or Boeing and they look at the screens and they check the messages on the CAS and they, like, okay, airplane's good,
Yeah.
all your deferrals are correct, right? So we get ramp checked and we're about to start a trip. So we just showed up to the FBO to go get in the plane, which was parked on the FBO ramp. We had our fuel and, he approaches for a ramp check and we do the normal process. He climbs up in the airplane, which by the way, didn't have stairs or it had this dangling ladder that would fold out of the side of the cargo door. And you would pull it down and it would bang on the side of the plane as it falls down. And then you'd climb up like hanging backward, just very, very unsafe. Anyway, the guy gets up there barely, walks into the cockpit, looks left and right. I mean, it's steam gauges, it's old school mechanical dial radios, very old stuff. He doesn't know what's broken or not because he can't just like turn a switch on and have a screen tell you, you know what I mean? So he's looking around, he's looks so confused. This is, "Can I help you with anything?" Just looking to make sure everything's up to snuff." Like, and I know, as the captain, I'm like, "There's nothing you can see that's broken or not with the airplane in this situation. You'd have to turn it all on and turn the engines on and know what's broken in this airplane." And that old, that was the case, right? So he's looking around. I can tell he's confused, kind of disappointed. It's just a very difficult inspection for him. So he looks down at the 5 point harness. He goes, "You have some fray on your seatbelt buckles. Some fray." Yeah, you see these fibers here, right where your seatbelt meets the metal buckle part, it's kind of folded in a little bit to go through the buckle. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure do.
Right where it's sewn to the metal clip part. He goes, "There's some fray on here. What's your fray tolerance for this?" I'm like, "Really, dude? Like this is the angle you're gonna go? Like what a great start to
I would have
my duty
loved
day."
that you just whipped the freight tolerance right out of your brain and said it.
Yeah, it's obviously in the memory items of every aircraft, a fray
Right?
tolerance of a seatbelt. I said, I don't know the answer to this question, but I can guide you to somebody who would. I'm going to put you in touch with our maintenance controllers." So I called maintenance control. "Hey, what's the fray tolerance on a seatbelt harness buckle joint area?" "The what?" I'm like, "Well, I'm here with Inspector Johnson of the FAA who wants to." So this is just a giant circus parade. He couldn't find a red light or a miscollared breaker. You know what I mean? So he just picked on something.
He had to
And
justify his presence.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the maintenance controls pulling their hair out, and we're just kinda standing there with our hands on our hips, and, I had at the time, I was a smoker, and I was like, "I have a lighter, I could just singe this off, and then we can all just go about our day real quick." It was like, what's he
Oh
gonna say if there's no fray to talk about?
my gosh.
But,
Well, it
long
was here
story
when I
short,
walked on.
yeah, they actually canceled our trip, and they had another plane leave from another airport to go finish our pickup and drop off of freight, and we went back to the hotel, and they sent mechanics down with new seatbelts to satisfy the inspector.
Good.
Yeah, yeah, then we get to start the next day instead. Free
How
hotel
many
stay.
new I'm curious now, you're talking about an old airplane. How many new seatbelts? Like, are seatbelts generic enough that you can swap
Yeah,
them out? Yeah?
yeah, there's a length and a width and a buckle size, but yeah, it was a new seatbelt, and it looked
Okay,
no
good.
different than the seatbelt we use now.
Awesome. You got away you didn't get away with it, you did it. You did the right thing. You
Did
called
I?
maintenance and you took care of the problem.
You want to make
Absolutely.
you want me to make this story more ridiculous? The
Yes,
next
please.
So we had just the crew, FO and I had just got out of our annual security training with the TSA, right? Because
Ah,
we are the first line of defense against terrorism.
yes.
And we kind of forgot about the whole maintenance coming down in the middle of the night to change seatbelts thing. Well, the next day we got our call out to go fly another route, and I'm at the front desk paying for fuel at the FBO. I send the FO to the airplane to start pre-flighting. He cracks the cargo door open. He goes, "There's a cardboard box sitting in our cargo area," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" "There's something here that wasn't here when we left the airplane." "All right. Well, we have a process for this unidentified object in in the
Yeah.
aircraft because it's supposed to be sterile, right? You have to search it, make it sterile, and it's supposed to stay sterile.
Right.
So we did what our company taught us to do, which is to call the security people back at headquarters, and they went down their like checklist of things they're supposed to do. Now the airport police are coming, and this oh my gosh, it got so out of hand so quickly. And then eventually somebody in the office back in base, "Wait a second. Are you talking about that plane in Louisville?" "Yeah, we left the old seatbelts in a box back there
Oh, jeez.
so they can fly it home." Like, "But you're driving home. Just take it with you." Yeah, they left they call it COMAT, right? Company materials.
Comat, yes.
But it was a seatbelt, right? You could have fit that in a Ziploc bag. It was in
But
a
you're
16 by 25 or something cardboard box, unlabeled. Like, why? Put it in a bag on my seat. You know what? I would have seen that and go, "Yeah, that's the old seatbelts, right?"
yeah, but even so, if it was Comat, don't you aren't you supposed to get a document stating that it's there and what it
Yeah.
is?
Yeah, on my seat in the
So
cockpit, which we hadn't gotten
right,
to yet. We hadn't gotten that
exactly.
far into the airplane yet. All we
Oh,
did
I
was
see.
we opened the door, there's an object there that wasn't there yesterday, like, we
Okay,
don't
okay.
proceed any further into this aircraft because the bomb training we were doing was talking about, like, you touch the box and then the box blows up because it comes off a weight sensor or something, or
Yeah.
you tip it on its side and the chemicals mix and then kaboom. He's like, "It wasn't there when we left the airplane, and it was there now." So, yeah, we
It
followed protocol.
yeah, so the bomb sensor, it's just like when Indiana Jones found the golden idol in the cave and he tried to match the weight with the sandbag and it didn't work. It
I
could
don't
have
rem
happened.
I haven't watched that movie in so long, I'm gonna have to.
Okay, Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's the opening scene. But
Who is in that?
who's in
Is that
that? That's a
Is
good
that
question.
is that
Let
Harrison
me
Ford?
Yes, it was.
Ah,
What? Did you really just ask that question?
I'm sorry. I said it's been decades since I've seen
Did
that
you
movie.
ask that question because you're really that dense, or did you read the list on the side of the screen?
Oh.
Because
Oh, you wanted to talk about Harrison Ford.
this
How
didn't
convenient.
happen to me. I heard about this second or third hand. Back in my CFI days, I used to do a lot of touch and goes with my students at an airport called Pompano Beach Air Park, which is a
Yeah.
pretty tiny, not really that small, but it's right in the Fort Lauderdale area. It's like 5 miles from Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport, where all the big, fancy, expensive jets come in with their rich people. But right next to it is Pompano, the smaller airport, where we go do a lot of our flying pattern work, practicing touch and goes and whatnot. So I got to know the controllers over there fairly well. So this is a story that happened to one of those controllers, and I heard about it. Late at night, there was a helicopter coming in doing some, I don't know. I don't know if it was doing patterned work or it just landed, but it was late, like late. And the helicopter landed and they called up to the tower and they're like, hey, is there any place around here to get a cup of coffee? And the tower guy goes, well, actually, I just made a pot. Why don't you come on up?
No way.
Yeah. The elevator door opens and out walks Indiana Jones.
No way.
Yes.
That's so cool.
The
In a
famous,
helicopter?
yeah, he
I thought
flies
he was a
everything.
pilot. Oh, I didn't know that. I
Well,
thought he just flew airplanes.
Well, he doesn't fly any of them very well, but he apparently flies helicopters, or maybe he had a helicopter teacher, but he was there that night and he had some coffee. So you never know who's going to show up to
That
the airport either.
that's boy,
Isn't
I've
that
been to the
crazy?
Pompano Airport, and I'm thinking about back to it, and yeah, that's I didn't know yeah, he's got plenty of golf courses to land on if he needs to.
Yep. That's right, which he's done before. So,
That's why I said it. Jeez.
yeah, I always used to wonder because those golf courses are like right next to the runway. I would do all those touch and goes with my students, and I'd be looking at the golf course. Like, if somebody hits a really bad shot, it's going to hit us. If I was out there golfing, I'd be hitting airplanes and not on purpose.
You know, one of the things that surprises when you say the golf courses next to airports, a surprising number of airports have a cemetery adjacent.
I know they do.
And I used to joke with students when I was an instructor, like, "Hey, if you don't do good with me here, we end up across the street." And that was always my like my little morbid joke to tell them, like, "Don't mess up or else."
Well, not only some of them have cemeteries adjacent, some of them have cemeteries right on the field. And at least one case, which where did we say this was Savannah,
Yes,
is
Savannah.
graveyards right on the runway, in the runway.
Well, not all the graveyard. It's a couple of. It's a
So,
family, right?
yes, I looked this up. Uh, Family owned the land for like 100 or more years. Back in the old days, sometimes you just bury your dead on your own property. And that's what they did. And then along comes the government says, we're buying your land and we're going to build an airport here. And this is where the runway goes. And they're like, but we got bodies there. And for some reason, they agreed not to move the bodies. They just paved over them and they put markers right in the concrete where the bodies are buried. So you can see it. You can Google Earth it. You probably can't. I don't know if there's any opportunity for loved ones to go out and like leave a flower on the grave or like
Yeah.
a toy airplane, but
Yeah, let's leave
they're
some metal
there.
out there. Just
Yeah.
loose, lightweight metal to fly over and land in.
Speaking of graves, since we're back on that topic, I was walking around in Baltimore one day. You ever been to Baltimore?
Not that I can remember offhand.
Okay, well, in Baltimore, fantastic historical city, a lot of history there. Walking down the street, and there's a sign pointing this way to Edgar Allan Poe's grave. I said, well, that's fantastic. How many times do you expect to see a great writer's grave when you're just out walking around? So I went and followed the sign, and I come upon this old church, and surrounding the church is this graveyard. I go in and I'm looking around. Yep, sure enough, there's Edgar Allan Poe's grave. But it was the most bizarre thing. The structure of the church went over and around the graves. In fact, it was such I like there's a porch. If you look under the porch, there's graves.
Jeez.
The building just kind of zigs and zags around the graves. So what happened was Quite often, they'll build a church and then they'll build a graveyard. By the way, I learned this. I'm using the term incorrectly. Graveyard is only supposed to be used when it is associated or adjacent to a church. Otherwise, the term is cemetery.
I didn't know there was differentiation, but now I do.
There, there in fact is. Now, in this case, the cemetery existed before they built the church. They decided to build a church on the cemetery, but they didn't want to upset any of the graves. So they just kind of built the church where they could fit it. And that meant kind of going over some of the graves and around them. So it's a neat place and it's sad too. There's a lot of families, a lot of babies back in the olden days didn't live
Yeah.
through they didn't survive infancy, and so you'll see a lot of families with 6, 7, 8, 10 graves and little children that didn't go very far, but interesting, fascinating. I love this, and a lot of these have little plaques with the history of the deceased
Oh,
and their
that's cool.
place in society. Now, when I walked out of there, there was another sign, and it said, "This way to Edgar Allan Poe's boyhood home." And I thought to myself, well, I'm already at his resting place. I might as well go to his beginning place.
Yeah.
And so I did. And that was less exciting. And it was in an area where a lot of urban redevelopment had happened. And amongst all of it was just this old house that they preserved and just kind of built around. And that was his house. I didn't go inside, but I saw it.
Huh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. You ever run into anybody you know out on the road?
Yeah, I
Like
don't like that.
unexpected?
Yeah,
It's
it's not
different,
even work
right?
related. It's just weird. Yeah. I was in Chicago and I grew up in New York. And when I was in New York, I was a volunteer fireman for a little bit. And I'm walking down the street and a guy yells my name. I'm like across the sidewalk. And it's my old fire chief in Chicago.
In Chicago.
Yeah, he picked me out of a crowd on the streets of Chicago. It was wild. Um, Airport's a little more common, right? Because we're always in airports with people.
No, it's not though.
No?
It's no, and I've been doing this a very long time. I can count on one hand the number of times I have run into people I know. Once when I was a stewardess and my father-in-law happened to be on my plane. I didn't know he was coming.
Ah, that's pretty cool.
Another time, I bumped into a guy I had worked at my previous job, was in the terminal.
Okay.
And then there was a time and another time I was a stewardess, a girl I had gone to 8th grade with was on my plane.
Okay, so that happened to me. I've seen people I grew up with in terminals.
Yeah,
Like we spend a substantial amount more time in the terminal environment than anybody else. So we
yeah.
have better odds statistically of seeing people that our eyes and brain recognize. They
Well, I
don't.
bet
They're the
might
random
just
ones.
we're gonna run into each other more likely than any of them. Now, here's a fun one. I prior to my stewardess career, prior to getting into aviation at all, I had this brilliant idea when I went to college, I was gonna get into broadcasting. I wanna have my own radio and TV show, and I went to school and I got a degree in broadcasting. Well, it turns out I wasn't very good at it. But there were people who were. And one day I was out on a road. I was at a layover in Flint, Michigan, and I was out walking around, or maybe I was checking into the hotel, and I bumped into a kid that I had gone to broadcasting school with who was doing a report. Hit the cameras and he had a microphone in his
Oh
hand.
my
I
gosh.
was like, here
He
you
made
are.
it.
He made it. I didn't. Years later, get this. Years later, I was in Phoenix, Arizona, and I turned on the TV and he's on the local Phoenix news doing the sports report.
You made it too though. Here you are, Cats on Guard, the world's best aviation podcast. I mean
Self-described.
I mean, as ranked by who? Prove it, right?
Somebody's ranking it.
You
Yeah.
ever see those billboards on the road? That annoys me. It grinds my gears.
The cats on guard
No, our
billboards.
billboards are amazing, but other people's billboards where they self-proclaim that they're the best knee surgeon in Florida.
Yeah.
Like, is there a ranking system for these people? Like, how do
I
you
don't know,
rank
but
the most like, how many people didn't die on your operating table? Or, the number 1 ranked children's hospital in all of Illinois. By who? Who's
I,
ranking them? And who is
well,
who's been to so many children's hospitals that they're ranking?
how many? Maybe there's only one. you
Yeah,
know?
right, that's one way to do it, yeah.
I told my daughter I'm the worst father she's ever had, and she didn't
Yeah.
disagree.
Also the best.
I once had when I had moved to Florida, I had a long t my uncle was my dentist before I moved to Florida. So I went to him forever, and then I was in Florida for a while, and I realized I hadn't been to a dentist in a while, so I started asking around, and one of the guys that I worked with recommended somebody, "This guy's the best. He's the best." So I went to the best, and the best wanted to put fillings in all of my teeth. Even though I didn't have cavities, he wanted to do
Yeah.
preventive fillings.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's
That's a personality. It's like there's a personality and I have some family members that have this. I'll call it a disorder. We're gonna call it personality disorder. It's a self-validating need to feel that they work with only the most important and best of whatever category they do. So, for example, one of my family members goes to let's say the urologist, right? Oh, top urologist in all of Nevada is my guy, Dr. Weinstein. He's the best urologist, and I get to see him. And, and if you just look the guy up, he's just one of many urologists at one of many healthcare centers filling retired people's neighborhoods in Arizona or Nevada or wherever state, right? But the person that's receiving the service needs to feel that they're getting the best, that they're getting a special treatment.
and how many urologists has that person probably ever seen? It may be the best they've
Well,
ever been to. Maybe they've only been to one.
I don't know, but the patient's the last person to decide that. You don't know what everybody else's medical outcomes were because you're not privy to that
That's true.
information, and
That's true.
nobody really is.
That's like when you ask the waiter for a recommendation at the restaurant, and then the waiter's like, "Well, this is what I like." Okay, well, your tastes aren't
Maybe
the same as mine. I don't know if that's gonna
yeah.
fit.
Well, that or their narrator like, "Hey, push the fish, right? It's turning, and so we gotta throw it out in 2 days, so tell everybody the fish is the best thing on the menu," and then they go move the fish. Like, it's that movie Waiting, you ever see that one?
No.
Ryan Reynolds. It's old school, dirty, raunchy comedy. Like, not old
That
school, but,
sounds
like,
fun.
early 2000s. Yeah, just raunchiness.
I
You
went
probably
out to
won't wanna
dinner
eat at a restaurant after watching that movie, so
well, I went out to eat at a restaurant the other night, and I said to the wait person, I said, "Would you really be honest with me if you didn't like something on this menu?" And they paused, and they said, "Let me think about a good way to say that." And they said I'm trying to remember how they said it. It was very
I'll
good.
rec
It was
I'll recommend something else to you.
yeah, it was something like, I don't know. It was good, whatever it was.
Yeah, do it, I like that. No, I was I was excited to go to a restaurant. This is a surprise story. We were finishing up our trip. This was during the COVID times, cargo, and we were excited to land and go to the hotel. And we were going to go get a big prime rib at our favorite restaurant. And at the time, our scheduling department back at headquarters on the other side of the country, because we were in South Texas, I think, yeah, um, was supposed to have hotels and accommodations set up when we get where we're going. When we get there, and we're all of us, a whole crew, a crew of 4, so captain, co-pilot, flight engineer, and loadmaster. We're all looking forward to these big prime ribs, and the company says there's no hotels.
Oh, no.
We're like,
Wait, what?
what do you mean there's no well, so it was a border town, and during COVID, they called, the National Guard in to supplement Customs and Border Patrol because people were going on leave with COVID for 2 weeks at a time or something, right? There was just not enough manpower to man the border. And so the government had called all these other like or what do you call it? It's not paramilitary, it's straight military, National Guard, Army, whatever. These other organizations were helping Customs and Border Patrol, and they basically booked every hotel in town and filled them with people. And we didn't really know this, and nobody advised us of it. For no hotels. So we landed, and they're like, "All right, so do we go get in a cab and go to like another town over?" And along the Mexican border, that's the same story in every town. Nope, no hotels. How about the next town? No 4-hour radius of this airport, no hotels. We have to get back in the aircraft, fuel it up, and fly to another
What?
city. Yeah, talk about a surprise at the end of your duty day. Hey, do you guys like, well, how do we do that with like I mean, we did it under Part 91, so it was voluntary, agreed upon
Yeah,
that we would do this.
understood.
But if we didn't, say we were too tired, maybe we were fatigued, where would we sleep?
This brings up an interesting question because I had a similar experience one day where our contract requires very specific hotel minimum requirements, and a 1 star, side of the road cheap motel isn't going to meet those requirements. So within this 4 hour radius, were you calling every bed you could find, or was it just acceptable to your standards? That's the question I wonder.
Yo, so there's some people that will never be happy, that'll never give a 5-star, thumbs up for.
Huh?
You hope that doesn't ruin a good hotel for everybody, because I've seen that happen too when we were working together. Like, "I like that hotel. Why'd they get rid of that?" Somebody got gripey enough to say that 3 restaurants in the parking lot weren't enough or weren't good enough,
Yeah.
or the hotel lobby didn't have coffee, something like that.
Wow.
But yeah.
So where'd you end up going?
San Antonio? It's kinda
Yeah.
inland by an hour and a half or 2 hours, yeah.
Huh?
San
San Antonio,
Antonio's I had a lot of
Texas?
fun there. Yeah,
Yeah, there's
yep,
a lot going on there.
yeah.
I'll bet you found a nice big juicy steak too, didn't you?
We did, the next day because we were so damn tired, we just went to sleep instead after. Because like, when you park an airplane to go to the hotel, and then you sit in Airbus terms, we'll say cold, dark cockpit or something like that, right? Um,
Yeah.
and then you get decide you have to fire back up again. It's a process. You can't It's not like you put your key back in the ignition in your car and throw it and drive. Now we gotta turn everything back on, we gotta do
Wow.
all the flows, we gotta fuel it, we gotta all the new dispatch paperwork. None of this was planned, so none of this was like, you know,
Yeah,
nothing was
that takes a
ready.
while.
Oh, it was a night and then by the time we got to the hotel, let's say, yeah, wink, wink. By the time we got to that airport hotel, we were definitely fatigued.
Man.
But,
All right.
yeah.
Will you give me a reminder? Years ago, I was flying into Chicago O'Hare. There was a blizzard going on. We held for like an hour, used up all of our hold fuel. We did 2 go arounds. We and our alternate was Minnesota. There was no way after all this we were going to make it that far. So we ended up diverting to somewhere in Wisconsin to get fuel, and Madison, Wisconsin, I think it was. It was
Party town.
yeah, it is. I've been there. Nice school, college town. It's fun. And also, one of our passengers lived right there, and He's like, "Can't I get?" Well, we didn't have a gate. It wasn't a city we served, so we didn't have any
Oh my gosh.
facilities there. We just had to park out on the ramp and try to coordinate fuel. And this poor guy, he's like, "I just live right there. Can't I get off the airplane?"
Oh, no,
Sorry,
and you
man.
can't. Yeah.
No, you can't. You absolutely can't. So after all that, and we finally get to Chicago, and it's really late, and I wanted to treat myself to a nice steak dinner. But here's the problem, and I was just spent. I didn't wanna be around any people. I wanted I was gonna get a nice, steak to go, take it to my room, from the hotel bar. But here's the problem. The problem was it was Super Bowl Sunday, and I was just
Oh,
like,
have fun with
yeah.
that order.
So it was like, yeah, have fun with that. Or, well, this is what after years of staying in this particular hotel, I never realized that it actually had 2 bars. I'd never seen the second one, but that was where all the people were watching the game. So when I go down to the one bar, nobody was in it. So I said, okay, well, this works for me. So I sit down to the bar, I order my meal, which came with this delicious sounding potato side. It just sounded so good because this I ordered it for that. And it took like 45 minutes, and the guy finally brings it out to me, and I look at this is not what I ordered. This is not the same steak. It doesn't have the sides. He
Yeah.
goes, "Oh, oh, yeah. You know what? I like this one better. That's why I brought it for you."
No,
I'm
it's
like,
not. You lying
"Dude,
sack of
this is
yeah.
not what I want, and it also costs more money."
Oh, how convenient,
"Oh,
yeah.
I won't charge you the difference." Well, I ended up eating it because he's like, "I can do the other one, but it's gonna be another 45 minutes." "No, I'll just eat it." Okay, so this is years ago. Last week, I'm back in the same hotel. I go down to the same bar to get another meal. And, nothing had happened that day. It was a normal day. I'm hungry. And I ordered a pork chop, which was pretty good. But while I was waiting for it, I look over. There's a guy sitting at the bar. I was at a table and they bring up the food. I see the food coming. I look to see if it's mine. And no, they take it to this bar And the guy goes, "This isn't what I ordered."
Oh my gosh.
I swear to God, line for line, I really like this one better. I guess I just had it on my brain when I put the order in. Sorry.
Years later?
Same.
Like, they've been playing this game.
Right. Was it the same waiter or is that just the line they all feed?
I think you're in the
Like,
Matrix. You're seeing glitches in the Matrix, and, you just saw the rot thing that happens at that desk in that seat all the time. Yeah.
so
Don't pick up the phone.
I gotta go back and eat there again, see if it happens again.
I bet you that's a different like, when they don't have the item on the menu, they just play that game. They give you the
Boy,
other steak. Like, you order a porterhouse and they give you the T-bone or something, you know what I like,
like
but
you're it,
yeah,
yeah,
instead of admitting they don't have what's been on the menu all year long, that they refuse to pay extra for at the market, that'd be my
that's
guess.
crazy. Yeah. Is that a good surprise or a bad surprise though? Like
I don't
if
know.
it's a
Well, if
better
it's a better
tasting
steak,
steak, yeah.
so my guess is like and this is just from a restaurant perspective, from when I worked in high school, but like my guess is the margins aren't as good on the steak, but instead of having to change all the menus, they just wrote it out whenever they don't have it in stock, or they sell out of it quickly, the cheaper steak, and
Huh.
they just give you the one that's another, 50 cents per pound or whatever off the market. I don't know, just a guess.
I don't
Totally
know.
spitballing here, but it's a
Speaking of
bullshit.
margins, speaking of margins, I am going way off topic here with this one, but I want to run this by you. You know that it has long been my dream to have my own donut truck, right? And lately, I've been thinking as I come to the end of this career, how can I supplement my income? How can I do something a little extra, something unrelated? And my wife has gotten this obsession with having her car washed. And she's constantly going around. She's buying all these different memberships to car washes all over town. And we live in kind of a rural-ish area near a bigger city. So there's a lot of dirt roads and our cars are always dirty. Had a what do you call that? A brainstorm?
Yeah,
I
you had a moment.
imagine this moment. And she's like, we should just build because there's no car wash near us. All the other good car washes are on the south side of town. We should build a car wash on this end of town. And I thought, boom, my head exploded.
Just makes money for itself. Yeah, you should
Oh, wait.
100%
No,
do
no,
it.
no, no. Oh, no, that's only half the part. A car wash with a donut shop attached
Boy,
so that while your car is going through, you go and you eat donuts
who
and
sits in the
coffee.
car?
Who sits in the car? Here's the problem. I came up with that too because, yeah, when I was a kid, we would get out of the car. Some car wash employee would drive the car through, and you would walk. You would stand through, walk through, look at the windows,
Yeah.
which was
Yeah,
fun.
it was a shopping center. You'd get
Yeah,
like a gas station.
we never do that anymore. Now we drive through. So then I came up with a brilliant idea. Here's a solution to this problem. So you go to the donut drive-through window, and you get your drive-through windows and your car wash
Oh, you
all
eat the
in one
donut while you're in the
purchase,
car wash.
and then you join the car wash lane, and you eat your donut and drink your coffee while you're going through the car wash.
You're gonna be a millionaire. Give me a
Aren't
call when
I?
that yeah, yeah,
Hey, I ran this through Chat GPT, and it said it was $1 million idea.
yep.
So if
Now they're
I
gonna sell that
if
they're gonna sell that immediately to somebody with more money than you and
I
let
shouldn't
them
have
have a
touched.
chain of them. So they kinda do that, I was in Dearborn, Michigan. I can't remember why, but I did wanna get my car washed. There's one kinda near the Ford headquarters. I don't know if you're familiar with Ford's headquarters.
Ford Motor Company in Dearborn,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, they got a I don't know if they left it recently, but anyway, I think it was called the Ford Fairlane Car Wash. There's like a road intersection. Anyway, there's like a Starbucks and a Dunkin' Donuts or someone, a coffee pastry shop, and somebody actually gets in your car for you at the beginning, and you do the walkthrough that you were talking about, and you pick out your air freshener, and then you get up to the front of the register, and you settle up, and there's a machine with drinks and pastries, and that was the
Okay.
same thing you were talking about, so it
So it's
exists.
been
I don't know
done. Yeah.
so I don't know, could it was over 10 years ago that I was down there, but I don't know where those still exist anymore.
Well,
You should be repioneer.
I think that would be a great surprise for any motorist with a dirty car and or a donut craving.
Yeah, and you don't have to go in the car wash, you could just get your donut and turn right and go car
That's
wash
right.
left or whatever,
And
you
you
don't
don't have to get a donut either, but you have the
that's
option of doing both.
wow, game
Yeah.
changer.
I know.
Well,
I'm gonna do it.
we gotta tie it to Cats on Guard. You're forced to listen to our podcast as you roll through the day.
We could put our recording studio right there and have a live audience.
I love car washes. I would watch car washes all day. It's so satisfying. It's like an emotional connection to car washes.
Can I share a story? A little emotion. When I first started working as a CFI and I was making $0 a day, I went up to the local car wash and I said, I would really like to just have a brainless job that I don't have to think too hard, where I make a few bucks. And the guy said, I totally get it. And you can be a cashier here. But he goes, How do you feel about working with Haitians? Or I think he said something, what are your thoughts on working with Haitians? So this is South Florida, a great, large Haitian immigrant community. He said, what are your thoughts on working with Haitians? I said, I've never had any of those thoughts in the history of my life. He said, well, almost all the employees at this place were Haitian, and they were the hardest working people I ever saw, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, working for tips, and they were all named Jean.
Yeah.
Every single one of them was named Jean. And the truth is that wasn't their name, but the idiot manager of the car wash couldn't take the time to learn their Creole pronunciations. So they all became Jean, and he called them all Jean.
Yep. I can't even do Hey, you gotta save the rest of that we gotta elaborate this. We had to do that episode about interviews.
Oh, yeah.
You
Let's
should
do
put
that.
that car wash because like, airline interviews versus normal job interviews or brainless job interviews or, LinkedIn corporate jargon interviews. There's
Okay.
many different interviews, but we have a different view on interviews as pilots than, the rest of the world pretty much.
That's true. Well, you're right.
At the interview episode, we're gonna spoiler alert, interview episode coming in soon.
Does that mean we're wrapping this one up?
No, I got one more for you, I really wanna tell you.
Okay. Let's have it.
Best surprise on landing I ever got. I got detained by the US military on Kirtland Air Force Base in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Um, this is the
Do
I was not
share.
Yeah, I know, right? I was 19 years old. I had got my first jet job right out of being a flight instructor, and I was new to professional aviation, like, completely. So I just relied on the captain to teach me everything. Well, the captain on this flight was technically a captain by licensing. It was a Part 91 flight, so it wasn't for the business, it was like a I don't know. It was Part 91, that's how they operated. So the
Right.
guy is the captain by seat, by type rating. He's not by any means like a line pilot,
All
right? So
right.
he's a company certified pilot that can fly company equipment, but he's not a line pilot. So
Okay.
I'm basically seat support for this flight to Albuquerque, who I don't know, they had some contract with like Department of Energy or something like I don't know, some contracted basis of needing to be on the Air Force Base side of Albuquerque. One side's like terminal and civilian,
Yeah.
the other side's an
Yeah.
airbase. So I'm not thinking that we need anything special about this whatsoever. Dispatch is not thinking that either. A lot of holes in the Swiss cheese model that I ended up in jail. I
Wait,
packed a
what?
bag. No, no, like detention, the detention thing. It was bars, but it was like a detention room. But I've never been arrested. I didn't have cuffs on. I was just put in like a locked room until they So here's what happened. We landed and captain, who's like the representative of the company to the government, he immediately gets met by some people in those black Tahoes or whatever, right? And off they go into the hangar. He goes, "Hey, wrap it up here. I'll see you at the hotel." 19-year-old me with no life experience has no idea other than I know I have to shut all the things off and put plugs in the engines and chock the wheels and like I do like my thing. Well, then like another black Tahoe comes up and they're like, "Hey, you got your badge on you? Yep. You got your clearance on you?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" As soon as I said, "What do you mean?" This is your clearance. I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And they were like and then the guy got his, like, walkie-talkie, like, and he's doing his radio. Yeah, surprise, I needed to have, like, some sort of military clearance to be where I was. And the guy that I was with that should know better is now off in some meeting somewhere with some important people. So I got dragged off. Once I'm like, "Hey, let me finish buttoning up the airplane." I called dispatch. I'm like, "Hey, what do I do? Oh my god." They're like, "Wait, what? You don't have" "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. We didn't get you a clearance." Usually the pilots that fly in there already have their clearance for 5 years at a time, blah, blah, blah. I didn't have a clearance. So I got detained while they
Gosh.
verified who I was and that I was safe and background checked, and they made the company send all my records to them, and Yeah, so they threw me on a trip that should not have been assigned because I didn't have clearance to be where I was, but it was a fun little experience. It got better too, not a surprise now. After I got out of the detention area, I, was told to go get a rental car and go to the hotel. And this was like this might have been my first trip or something at that company because I went to the rental car counter and they're like, "You can't rent a car. You're not 21." I flew a jet here, if that helps.
Oh
And
my
it
goodness.
didn't matter. Enterprise
Didn't
Rental Car
help.
does not care if you fly a jet to their airport to rent a
That's
car. You're still not.
insane.
So they had to pull some like corporate contract language out of the company agreement with Enterprise that doesn't have an age limit. As if you're an employee of the airline, you get your car.
I mean, just stay in the jail cell. Didn't it come with
I
a
know.
bed?
I know. Yeah. Uh, so then I take the rental car. I finally, after hours of dealing with this, detention center, and then the car, I get to the hotel without the other guy. Right, the other guy's doing military business now. I basically don't see him for 3 more days. I get to the hotel. We can't check you in. Why? You're not 23 or whatever the check-in age for a hotel is. This went on until they got all these like, so they had to attach like the corporate contracts from the airline. Yeah, whenever Richard Million goes to a hotel, he needs this contract sent over that allows them to check me into the hotel. Just a whole bunch of surprises and welcome to professional aviation.
So, surprise, surprise, we managed to get it done.
What's our next episode? We told everybody about the next episode and I already
Interviews,
forgot. Interviews, yes.
airline, the airline interview. What a process that whole thing is. Let's go with that. That's going to be a great detail. It'll be helpful for anybody who's interested if they think they're going to make it through all the way to this career. Yeah, let's do that. Airline interviews is coming up on the next Cats on Guard. My name is MC Howe.
Go Captain Richard Million.
See you next time.